All right. Hello, everybody. Let Klee bomb things. Well, technically she is in that team because her skill throws out, you know, like a little cluster of bombs. But yeah, I came up with that team yesterday thinking like, what could I do to make this all work and really utilize like all of those sets in the way that I want to. And the only way it would work is if I put Klee in there. Because I don't have Nicole. Because I needed another Pyrohexorite that was not Durin. That would only work with Klee right now then. I hope you guys having a nice weekend though. You're enjoying the weekend and are relaxing. We'll see how far we can get into the book now. Today, we might be finishing it, but it's a few more pages, but we'll see. If I had Nicole, I would put Nicole in that team, but I have to put Klee in there to get all the utilization of the set bonuses that I want. I can't help it. Can't help that the restrictions for that set, for that new Hexorite support set Celestial Gift are as restrictive as it is. Honestly, it's not really restrictive, but it'll only work in that scenario now, in the way that I have it set up. What's that I found for Sandrone? Same domain as Celestial Gift, that new Superconduct set that's in that same domain. I forgot the name of the set. Something Shadow, I think. Let me see what it was called. Disenchantment in Deep Shadow. That's what it was called. That's the set for Sandrone. But yeah, there's a reason, there's a method, as like there's reason for why I have it set up the way I have it set up, with like Klee being there and all that stuff. Couple of pictures on the web. Which quest she appears in that I missed? I think she made an appearance in the... I know she made an appearance in the Hexen Circle animation they've posted a few weeks ago. I know that. Not sure if she fully appeared in a quest as in like her full-on human form. I think so far she's only appeared in the animation. But yeah, so the fact that that team went, or like, well, it wasn't really the full team, it was literally just Durin and Mona doing things. Already my Durin hitting like 100k. I'm curious what happens if I have a full set on everybody. I have to farm a Noblesse set for my Mona, I have to farm VV for Prune, and I have to farm Celestial Gift for Klee. So I have to farm a lot of sets just so I can make that team work. But I will make it work. I want to see how far I can take that. I feel like that Durin vape hit could be like almost like 200k or more. DCC 3.0 in 10 days. Ooh, I actually haven't really been on DCC in a while. I gotta do some stuff in NTE as well. NTE just recently had their 1.1 update. Oh, I'm seeing the lineup of like the things for the Xbox showcase, what they've revealed. A Persona 4 revival, new Crazy Taxi, Persona 6, Spyro: A Realm Beyond. What? Are you excited for you, Veronica? I am. Absolutely. Any new Resident Evil game is going to be nice. And I've never played the original Code Veronica, so that's going to be nice. Okay, something's new. Spyro, Persona 6, Persona 4 Revival. I'm looking forward to that. Damn. Okay. A new Halo. Fable, Gears of War. Not bad, not bad. Hell yeah. But I'm also obviously very much looking forward to the Code Veronica remake. Abso-fucking-lutely. Wait, I gotta see that now. The Persona 6 thing for the Xbox. Wait. I still haven't played like Persona 3 and 4. I still haven't like any of the other Personas. I've only played 5 Royal, and a bit of Strikers. But damn, Persona 6, huh? Give me a second. I want to see this. See. Oh, and a Persona 4 Revival is going to be nice. Maybe I'll play that then. Like, I could play Persona 3 Reload, Persona 4 Revival, I guess. If I want to play 3 and 4. ominous trailer. Where the fuck is this game gonna go? What? Huh? I'm confused. I am very confused. Okay. But sure. Yo, Persona horror game, or what's going on here? What's gonna be the theme of that game? Huh. I mean, I absolutely enjoyed 5. 5 was really, really fun. Never played any Persona game. I picked up 5 like a few months before 5 Royal came out, because I think they gave it away for free on PlayStation Plus or something. And I remember that I actually was able to finish 5 right before Royal came out. So on release of Royal, I bought it and played through that as well. I really liked it. And Strikers, which is more of like a Dynasty Warrior style spin-off kind of game, was super fun as well. As far as I've played it, I've never actually finished it. But that's besides the point. I definitely have to go back and play like 3 and 4 at some point as well, like 3 Reload and 4 now with 4 Revival. Code Veronica was my first RE game though. Still have the still have the box for PS2. Fuck yeah. Yeah, I don't think I've really played many of the RE spin-off games. Or well, not like the main numbered ones, so I've never really played Code Veronica. But the remake is gonna be really fun, I would assume. I mean, with Capcom's track record when it comes to remakes and like just games in general recently, they've been on a really, really good track. So I have hopes. My faith is there that the Code Veronica remake is going to be pretty good as well. I'm also excited for the announcement of the Monster Hunter Wilds expansion. That's gonna be freaking fun. Monster Hunter Wilds Ascendance or whatever it was called. Finally getting more Elder Dragons. We've seen like Kushala Daora and all that in the trailer, so that's gonna be super fun. I mean, I haven't put as many hours into Wilds as I had in World, for example, but I still enjoyed Wilds for what I've played. And I will definitely try and pick up that expansion because my friends are probably going to be picking up as well, and we're all going to be playing it together, so yeah. That's gonna be nice. Obviously, Guild Wars 3 is gonna be really interesting. The fact that it's also going to come out on console, like on PS5, is going to be really cool. Because I have a friend who always wanted to also play Guild Wars 2, but they never really had a PC, so they never really could. But now, if Guild Wars 3 comes out on console, they can also play it. So we'll see. No idea what they make out of it. I don't know either. I mean, I haven't even finished all the expansions for Guild Wars 2. Like, I don't even own them all, so. So, yeah. But I'm excited to see where that's going. It looked to me though like either they have made a completely new engine for it, or they're using Unreal Engine, because it gave me like big Unreal Engine vibes a little bit from the trailer, because it did say it was an in-engine trailer. I'm not sure if ArenaNet is gonna like if they developed a new engine for that, or if they are using Unreal Engine now. Either way though, the game looked good. The trailer looked good, and I'm looking forward to playing the beta next year when it comes out. So it doesn't look like Guild Wars though. Yeah, that's why I said like it felt like more, you know, like your kind of almost generic UE5 kind of game with its assets and its like graphics. So I'm a bit cautious as well. We'll have to see when we get more info and when the beta comes out and how it's gonna be. That's for sure. But I'm a bit optimistic. That's for sure. Oh, okay. Right. So now get her Archon quest next patch. How rebuilt her? Maybe. I mean, she's gonna release next patch, so I would assume we're gonna get a quest with her as well. So possibly. I would assume it's the Fontaine Research Institute, because they are the ones that have the schematics from Alengia 10. So we'll have to see. I mean, that's where she was sent to as well, like where the core of her got sent to at the end of the Notcry quest. Yeah, honestly, I don't even know what I'm going to be doing today after the book. Like, I don't really have anything to do in Genshin, and especially after the past few days, like, oh my fucking god, the amount of Genshin grind I did just to get fucking Durin. Jesus Christ. So like, well, I would assume they will probably see each other as well, yeah. God, what am I gonna be playing today after the after the book? I haven't really thought about that now, have I? could start with RE2, but like, I don't know. I don't know if I will, at least not today. I don't really know what I would do after the book today, because we don't really have much to do in Genshin anyway now with like we finished the Archon quest and everything. There's not much we can do. I could spend my resin, but I've been like logging in and out like periodically through the day, using up my resin like that. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll just keep it with the book today and then just end it afterwards. I don't know. Yeah, I know she's currently streaming that. But like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what we do afterwards. I didn't really plan much around, huh? Oh man. Let me see. Play some game and stuff. Yeah, but I'm trying to think what I'm gonna be playing. That's the thing. I'm trying to think of what I'll be playing. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see when we're there. I might have an idea or two of like a few things we can do for a little bit. I might do a bit of Deadest Disco. Who knows? Like, I'm really enjoying Deadest Disco. It's so fun. What I know though, if we do Deadest Disco, I definitely have to mute the game audio in the VOD. Definitely have to mute the game audio in the VOD. Give me a second. I'm just gonna quickly go over here. I need to check on something here real quick. One moment. Okay, it's not recording it. All right. Boop. There we go. Yeah, okay, we could do some Deadest Disco maybe. That could be fun. I just needed to check if I have the VOD muted for the game, because if I'm going, because you can add like custom songs to it as well. Like, just if you have the MP3 file to a song, you can just add that to the game. I have a few songs that I added in there that obviously, you know, copyrighted things and all, so I probably should mute the VOD for that. Or at least they also have, I think, like streamer friendly mode in the settings. So if I want to play like any of their official songs, because they have covers of like pretty big songs as well, like I Need a Hero and Maniac and all that stuff. We'll have to see. But yeah, we might be doing a little bit of that disco, I guess. And just chill. While in the background over the next few weeks, I'm gonna be working on building that weird ass Duran team. Maybe I'll use it in the new Abyss or something. If I get it ready in time, I might use it for the new Abyss when the Abyss reset happens or something. Could be a funny thing to do, right? I feel like it could be funny. All right. How much book do we have left? So we're at page 347. I'm checking right now how much we have on the book. So yeah, from 347 to like 411. If I go crazy today, we could finish it, or we could do like 2-3 chapters today and then 2-3 chapters next week and finish it. We'll have to see. Wait, chapter 27, and it goes up until, what's the last chapter? 31. So we have 4 chapters. So if we do 2 today, 2 next week, we could finish it, I guess. That could work. Drag it out a little bit more. So today we're gonna do from like 340. Now read chapter 28, 27 and 28, and maybe 29, and then next week we do 30 and 31. Oh, we do 27, 28 today, because it seems like 30 at least isn't really that long. Like 30 and 31 aren't really that long, so we do 29, 30 and 31 tomorrow, next week. I think we could do that. So we're probably going to be starting with a book here very soon. Yeah, I'm very excited to see like all of the games. Like there were a lot of game announcements this week because we had State of Play, we had Summer Games Fest, we had Xbox Game Showcase, all that stuff. Like there's a lot of games I'm looking forward to. The obvious ones being, you know, the Monster Hunter expansion, Guild Wars 3, Resident Evil Veronica, the new God of War game, even like God of War Lao Fei is going to be really interesting. The Persona stuff, both like 4 Revival and 6 being announced, is going to be really cool. I think there was like a new Stellar Blade as well, right? And the Lords of the Fallen 2 stuff. I haven't really played the first Lords of the Fallen or Stellar Blade, so not sure how hyped I would be around those. What else? Mortal Shell 2, I think, was it announced? And like, I played the first one a little bit, I liked what it was. I found the mechanics interesting, but I got so lost in the first level, I kind of just stopped playing. So I never finished it. What else was there? Oh, the Gundam game actually looked really cool as well. There was a new Gundam game they announced. So I might have to check that out when that comes out. I wish we would have gotten some news, maybe even on the new stuff that the developers for Lies of P are working on. Because want more Lies of P stuff, or like a new game by them, anything, because I absolutely loved Lies of P. Such a good game. What else was there? Oh, that like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game, The Last Ronin, by Platinum Games. That looked really cool. Platinum Games make some good games overall, like the Bayonetta games, the Nier games. Like, oh my god. I'm actually thinking about replaying Nier Replicant recently again. After the whole ordeal I've been through to get the platinum for it, I'm kind of tempted to replay it again already. I don't know what's wrong with me. But now I don't know. That'd be fair. I was never really too big on them, but the game looked cool, and I have hopes with Platinum Games that the gameplay at least is going to be fun. And if we look at stuff they've made previously, like the Bayonetta games and Nier Replicant and Nier Automata, like they can do combat really well. I would say they have a knack for the combat system in games, so I feel like at least the gameplay and like at least the combat gameplay, the combat system is going to be fun and nice, no matter what kind of like franchise it's attached to. If you like it or not, if you're a fan of it or not, I feel like it's at least gonna be a fun game to play overall. Hi Enzo, how you doing? I don't know what just got here. I was talking about that new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle game that was announced at the Summer Games Fest, The Last Ronin by Platinum Games. Like, I never really watched a lot of Ninja Turtles back then either. Like, I was never really like a huge fan of it. But even if you're not gonna like, even if the franchise it's attached is not gonna, you're like not the biggest fan of, the fact that it's made by Platinum Games and they can do some really good combat, I would assume the gameplay at least is gonna be fine. What the story and everything and how like the franchise they're attached to, whatever. The gameplay and like the combat system and everything is at least, I feel like, gonna be a fun experience. because Platinum Games, I would say, make some pretty good combat systems, but definitely got some really cool combat in the game. I can't believe how fast I pulled Lacrimosa. I've been pulling a little bit on the banner, but I'm mostly waiting for Chaos. I haven't gotten her, but I did get another Edgar, so my Edgar is at A5 now. He's the last 4-star that I still need A6. I need one more Edgar. But hey, I'm okay because I got way too lucky with Nanali and Hotori, where I have both of their arcs and I have A2 Nanali and A1 Hotori. Like I'm good. I don't need Lacrimosa. I played her a little bit in the trial. She seems really fun and I like her character from the story quest, but I can skip out on her. Don't sleep on my boy Edgar. I don't even use Edgar. They need to add more healers. They need more. They need to add more sustainers to the game. Cause like, what do we have? We have Edgar, and we got Adler. Doesn't Bite Song heal a little bit? I forgot if he does. He heals himself. Okay. Hotori as a support. Well, she doesn't heal though, Enzo. No. She's more of a... I would say she's more of a sub DPS. Where like you switch to her, you use her skill, then you want to use like the skills of all of your other team members. And then you do like your like for example, I use her in my Nanali, Mint, and S0 team, like with the main character. So I would do like Tori's skill into like all 3 other skills, and then Nanali on fielding until Hotori gets her time charge back to full. Then Hotori ultimate into like her combo, and then rinse repeat. She's more of like a sub DPS kind of thing than really a support. Even with her arc is like Death Shred and more damage and all that. And it's like, I think crit rate, I think. Like, she's definitely more of a sub DPS kind of thing than a support. I think there's one more sustainer. Does Aurelia have any sustain? Because GUN doesn't. Hathor doesn't. I guess Fadia, in a way. Fadia in a way that like she reduces the damage your allies take, because she takes some of that damage herself even when she's off field. So like in a way it's a bit more of a sustain. Haniel is a buffer mostly, I think. I don't think she has any sustain in her kit either. I'm not sure if Aurelia does. Zero, Nanali, Hathor, and Haniel. Oh. Does that give you charge with Hathor? Yeah, Haniel is pure buff. It's psychic damage attack buff. Like, she's decent for what's her name? Daffodil. Haniel works pretty well with Daffodil, honestly. But so does Sakiri. But then again, you want both Incantation and Psyche on the team anyway, because you want to run Discord with Daffodil. which is Psyche, Chaos, and Incantation. Aurelia and Haniel. I was saying, which one do I use? I looked up at Haniel and she was like, I was like, okay, Haniel it is. No, Haniel is fine. Like, obviously, Nanalie is a attack scaling damage dealer, so Haniel isn't the worst choice. I think I forgot, what do you need for charge? Was it Lakshana, Psyche, and Anima? I think it was Lakshana, Psyche, and Anima, right? I'm trying to think of it from the top of my head, because I know Discord is Incantation, Chaos, and Psyche. Oh, and so I would say I didn't like Haniel in the beginning, but playing the music side quest, like with the band stuff with Nanalie and all, Haniel is a pretty nice character. Anima Cosmos, right? I think it was, right? Oh yeah, that's why. Oh, right, that's why Edgar and Zero both have a passive for charge enhancement. Right. Makes sense now, because both Edgar and Zero are both Cosmos and they have charge enhancements in their kit. So would make sense that Cosmos is related to charge. Duh. I hated that music. I liked it. The quest itself, like the story of it, was good. I really liked the story of it. The rhythm game sucks. The rhythm game absolutely sucks. I don't like it. But the story was good. If they're gonna make Akane playable at any point, I will pull for Akane. If they make Akane playable, I will pull for Akane. I really liked Akane's story arc in there. I love her character. Just a bit boring and annoying running back and forth. That was a bit, yeah. Just heard Gaba and mess with the default game control layout. That, and I feel like it's slightly off. Like it's offbeat in my opinion. It doesn't feel like it feels like it doesn't really match the music. They just kind of randomly threw the notes in and called it a day. Like, yeah, that works, right? Make it a bit more difficult. Throw like 2 notes in a row at this angle. Like, okay, sure, right. Match it to the fucking music you're playing. Costa, yeah, it just doesn't feel good to play. Especially like recently I've been messing around a lot in Deadest Disco with adding my own, like adding custom songs and stuff into it. Yeah, no, it just doesn't feel right at all. But yeah, I've been messing around a lot with like adding songs to Deadest Disco, and one of the things that I always like have to adjust is like, obviously, first of all, when you add the song, you gotta find the right BPM for the song, so you gotta adjust the BPM, and then depending on the song, sometimes it might be a bit offset, so you have to like manually adjust a little offset so that like the hit is actually on beat. And it goes a lot into it. Like I was messing around with a bunch of my songs that I've already added like just the other day to like really fine tune it and make it feel as good as it can be. Have you done any of the mystery boxes? I haven't really done much in the new update yet. I haven't explored any of the new areas yet. I kind of logged in. You know, I claimed my daily stuff and all. Been 7 so far. Yeah, I haven't done any yet. The Gato Tour. Yeah, 1.1 is out now with Lacrimosa being on the banner now. Lemons. And 2 new regions and some new story. Yeah, and they added Bagel. You have like a whole social media system where you can like post screenshots and shit, and I don't know. I don't see that lasting long. I mean, half the posts are like Gunnar posts anyway. People taking like screenshots of like the character's ass and boobs and feet and all that and just posting that. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know, like maybe Chaos, but I'm also looking forward to the Chief. I want that other woman that was part of Chaos's team. Not Blackbird. The other chick that was at the just want Akane. I want Akane too. But I forgot her name. It was the one that was with Chaos at the Anomaly Research Institute before you went into the whole cherry blossom tree pass thingy. Like when you first got the puppet sent to Avon and you went to the institute. It was like that was it EDA 6 with Chaos, Blackbird, and that other chick. The tiny girl? No, not her. The that's the main cause I'm doing now. It was so good. Oh fuck, what was her name? I gotta look that up right now. Yeah, he was ETD 6. I was going to see the witch, but I'm side questing as usual. Have you not interacted with her at all yet, Enzo? I was about to say. Fuck, what was her name? She's only appeared in a costume. I don't have it either yet. She's only appeared in the quest so far, only when you're at the institute, when you explain the whole situation that's happened so far to Chaos and her and Blackbird. She was the one that was holding Blackbird's hat. During that quest. I was saving for the Daffodil costume, but spent all my money on mystery boxes. I will probably get her costume eventually. Wait, do you mean with the mystery boxes, do you mean the Porsche stuff? Oh, I'm not gonna do that at all. That shit's a scam. it gets exponentially more expensive. Like it costs a total of like over 20 million fonts to do all 10 polls for it or something, like 15 polls for it. And the first 5 polls, you can't even get the Porsche. From what I've seen. Like it literally is a 0% chance of getting the Porsche in the first 5. Yeah, like if you get everything, all like 15 items, it's like over like 20 million fonts or something like that. I'd rather not. I'm good. I don't care that much for that car. Yeah, and then the one after that is like 1.2 mil, then it goes to like 1.8 mil, and like the price is just gonna go increasing more and more exponentially. That's how they get you. But yeah, I can't find the name of that character right now that I was looking for. This one, the outfits, even the outfits are kind of just meh. Same for the rolls. I am not doing it. I absolutely not. Which is the updates back to default if in dialogue. Bruh, why is there nothing on this anywhere? Do I actually have to go into my freaking PlayStation screenshots? Because I think I took a screenshot. Go to media gallery. Oh, Lavinia, yeah. I want her. I think she looks really cool. I just found it myself as well, because wrong thing. There. I have this screenshot here. I think I would pull for her. That's for sure. Depends on her kit. Yeah, honestly, we'll have to see. That's for sure. All right, but yeah, I have to do the whole update still. Like, I haven't done any of the quests or any exploration in the new areas at all yet, so I'll do that another time. I was too busy trying to grind in Genshin so I can get Durin, and I know for now, I will never fucking touch the TCG ever again in Genshin. Fuck that. I never have to play the TCG ever again, and I never will. I never will ever play it again. I mean, Lord seems really fun, but I just spent all of my polls that I could muster to get Durin, and I got lucky to actually win my 50-50, but I got him at like 83 pity on a 50-50. So I think now I'm gonna be saving for Sandrone. I have to skip out on Lohen, even though Lohen and Durin also work so fucking well together. But I'm gonna be working on a different Doc Durin DPS team. It's gonna be so dumb. It should not. I don't think it's got like, it's not gonna be the greatest team, but I want to just try to see how far I can take that team. I'm just curious on how far I can take it. How far my absolute menace can take this team. Because when I have stupid ideas, I will do anything to make these stupid ideas happen. I will be playing on-field Mona driver Durin Vape with Klee support. Because I do not have Nicole. I will put Klee on the new Hexarise support set, just in that team, just for that. Her only purpose in that team is gonna be switch to Klee, use her skill, proc that set, switch off. I have C6 Mona. I will get all of the buffs from that. And then I'll just throw in Prune with Vivi. So it's going to be Mona, Durin, Prune, Klee. And I was thinking about it because like I can't put Mona on the Hexarise support set because I'm gonna on-field Mona, and the Hexarise support set gives you the elemental damage bonus of the elements of the holder of the set and your active character. Why not like Shilonen on Cinder? I guess I could do that as well, but I thought maybe like Prune on VV could be funny as well. I could do either actually, now that I think about it. That's a good call, Lemons. I wasn't even thinking about that. I was like, I kind of want to get Prune involved, but I could do, yeah, I could do Shilonen on Cinder City. That might actually be better. But yeah, like I can't do Mona on the Hexarise support set because if she's the holder and the on-fielder, I would only get the Hydro buff. I won't get the Pyro buff for Durin. I'm not gonna put it on Durin because Durin is on DPS, so he's on the Hexarise DPS set. Which, by the way, with Mona C6, he is heavily overreaching his crit rate with my current set. But that's besides the point. And I was like, okay, what other option do I have? I can't put it on Prune, because with Prune, I would get Anemo and Hydro buff. I wouldn't get the Pyro buff. So I need a Pyro Hexarai, apart from Durin. I don't have Nicole. Klee. Klee. Just put Klee on the set. Just for that. So I probably have Mona on Noblesse. And then yeah, Shilonen actually is a good call. Durin on the DPS set, and then Klee on the support set. That could actually be a really funny team. I still have to do a little bit of a weird rotation then though. Like I need to do Durin's skill normal attack into Shilonen, into Klee, then back to Durin for his burst, because I'm probably gonna be doing Thrilling Tales on Klee as well, and I need to give that Thrilling Tales attack buff to Durin, but I also need to trigger the Crystallize for Cinder City with Shilonen, so I should probably start out with Durin just skill and normal attack to activate Dark Form, then do the Shilonen, Klee, swap back to Durin, Durin burst, and then Mona on field. Honestly, I'm curious how much damage that will be, because already with just Mona, like on, I think currently I have Mona on like a 2-piece Wanderer, 2-piece emblem or something. Like she's on like such a weird fucking set. I didn't have a VV on Prune, and I still had the DPS set on Klee. I think already my Durin hit like 100k vapes with Mona driving. So I'm curious if I have the full setup, what the damage will be. But technically, with C4 Mona, my Durin heavily over crits. Like, he has 113 crit rate with C4 Mona. Because he's at 78 crit rate outside of combat, then the 20% from the artifact set, so he's at 98, and then C4 Mona gives you another 15% crit rate, so he's gonna be at 113% crit rate. But it is what it is, I guess, you know. Can't help it. It's the same as like my Nefer technically has too high crit rate as well now with 102 crit rate. You got the Cotton Candy Life Weaver last night? Let's fucking go. I haven't really been on Overwatch in a bit. For some reason, Overwatch makes my PC crash sometimes when I play. Like full on crash. I have to reboot and everything. Not just the game crash, the whole PC crashes. So I haven't really been on the game for a bit. But it is what it is, I guess. I'll have to see if I can figure out how to fix that. But yeah, actually the Shilonen call makes so much sense as well, Lemons, because I also have Shilonen's signature, so like not only do I get the Rest Shred and the Cinder City damage buff, I also get the damage buff from the signature from Shilonen, so that's even better. Like, what do I get with Prune? The attack buff, the VV Shred. But yeah, I think Shilonen might actually be better for that than Prune. Because I already have the Hexorei Resonance enabled anyway, because Cleader and Mona. So I don't need another Hexorei character. Honestly. I might get more value out of Shilonen than Prune for that. But obviously, it's not gonna be like the craziest, biggest meta team or anything. But like, I think I could probably clear some content with that. And that's what matters. That's the funny part. I'm gonna bust out the Mona, Durin, Shilonen, Klee. With the Klee on TTDS and support set. Why Shilonen though? I mean, Levin's made a good point. Like, sure, like Prune with the VV shred, that's 40% shred, and you know, all the buffs that Prune provides with her attack buffs and all. But like, I think my Shilonen can provide a bit more with the fact that she has 36% res shred, the 40% damage buff from the Cinder City set, and I have her signature, which I think is another 24% damage, 24% damage percent buff. So that might overall give me a better damage buff, or like an overall better damage increase than Prune could give me. And I would have a healer on that team, which actually, yeah, no, like with the other version, I wouldn't have any sustain on that team. No shield, no heal, nothing. Because like Mona doesn't do anything, Durin is not really healing, Klee doesn't fucking heal, Prune doesn't heal. So Shilonen actually would be better even just for sustain alone as well. Plus, you know, the buffs that she gives then as well. So yeah, no, that makes sense. And that's one less character I have to build. So now I only have to farm Klee set and Mona set. I only have to farm Noblesse and the support set. I mean, I'm gonna be building Prune at some point anyway. That is for sure. Because why not? Just have her available whenever, like, maybe for Venti. Like, Prune for Venti is also gonna be really nice. And I want to do like a Venti DPS at some point as well. I mean, he is already on the new set as well, so like Prune, Venti, Durin. I would assume like it's probably going to be the same team as like Varka's best team, just instead of you play Varka, you play Venti. So it's like Prune, Durin, Nicole would probably be the best for Venti. But if you don't have Nicole, then oh, I could also put Prune on the support set then technically, because I would still get the animal damage buff for Venti. Either way, but we'll see. I could do some funny things with that, that's for sure. Or I could have Durin on the support set to get Durin's damage buffed slightly and then Venti's buffed. I don't know. There's a lot of funny things I can do now with having Durin. That is why I wanted Durin. There's just so many dumb options and funny teams I can build now that I really want to do. I mean, I'm also going to be putting Durin on my Emily team, because he does shred Dendro Res in his light form, so it improves Emily DPS. I could do Bennett, Nahida, Emily, Durin. Take out the Xiangling, put in the Durin. All right, I'll have to be right back again real quick. I gotta use the bathroom, and then we're gonna start with the book, I would say, for now. All right, I'm back. Let's start with the book here soon now, shall we? All right, so like I said, we have like 4 or 5 more chapters to read, like 27, 28, 29, 30, and 31. We might do 27 and 28 only today, and then finish the rest next week, or we like go hard on the book and finish it today. We'll have to see. All right. Let's start then. Chapter 27. The sky was red in the afternoon. At first, Aloysia thought with a jolt that they were already too late. But it wasn't red. It wasn't the red of sunset, or the red of roses, or the red of a graze. It was the red of clay, thick and grainy, like a sandstorm. It crackled. It's brick dust, Balan told them irritably as they stepped into the square, and everyone else commented with awe and dismay. Enchanted buildings have been falling from here to Casacombe all day. So that's what that noise was, Aloysia thought with dread. There had been a periodic rumbling that she now realized she'd unconsciously mistaken for thunder. It had been growing steadily closer. Lan looked so shamefaced, so frustrated that even Sheikah knew not to press the matter. Instead, she floundered between the 2 cat dragons, jiggling uncomfortably from foot to foot. If you insist on coming, you can make yourself useful, Lan said to Sheikah, climbing onto her cat dragon and sticking out a hand to pull Sheikah up in front of her. Whereupon Lingui immediately began to purr. You fly, Lan said grumpily. She seems to like you better than me anyway. Hollis and Aloysia climbed onto Atari behind Eckhart. Aloysia in the middle, feeling oddly light without Littlewick in her lap, and the 2 cat dragons took flight. From high above the square, they could see the entire enchanted dust cloud hung around the town like a wilted wreath. As they watched, a bakery just a handful of streets from the square came down all at once, as if an invisible hand had reached up inside and pulled. The only saving grace was that Aloysia knew Ivy had already got everyone out. Oh, sweet babies, Sheikah cried a few seconds later. Crossing the square in the direction of the corn exchange, Mr. King Yoso and Ryuka were being dragged along by at least 8 cat dragons each on the ends of brightly colored leashes. For a moment, a couple of the older ones tried to flap their wings, lifting Ryuka off her feet. Aloysia's gaze traveled from them to the familiar shop. Let's go. She leaned forward and shouted directly into Eckhart's ear, where there's still something left to save. The pack was waiting for them. As Lingui and Otaro swooped down towards the spire in the clay-stained light, Aloysia saw a familiar lycanthrope sidling out of the woods, trailed by 6 younger versions of itself. They had been right about the beast protecting its litter, but they weren't the roly-poly, romping pups she had hoped. They were hulking adolescents, leaner, keener-eyed, and by the way they snapped at each other's heels and snouts as they went, at once quicker and more aggressive than the one Aloysia had spared. She wasn't fool enough to think the lycanthrope would remember her, that it had any concept of mercy or reciprocation, or that it would have infinite sway over its pups even if it did. They were almost grown. Boundaries were there to be tested. Stick to the plan. Eckert, the more experienced flyer, brought Otari down onto the incline of the tower's cone-shaped roof in a graceful curve. But no sooner had the cat dragon's paws glanced across the surface than he hissed, flicked out his tongue, and took to the sky again. Lan and Sheikah met a similar fate. Lingui's paws pounded against the gleaming golden cone, slipped, scrambled, and she slid tail first back into midair. Sheikah let out a short, sharp shriek of shock before getting the cat dragon back under control. "It's too slippery," Lan shouted breathlessly, her head whipping around to call over her shoulder. Undeterred, Eckert brought Otari into a low nosedive. As they reached the shining rooftop, the cat dragon extended his claws and made a wheeling slash for purchase with all four paws. To no avail. There was a clashing screech of metal that made everybody recoil and cover their ears, before Otari pushed off with one unsteady thud of his back legs that had them jolting and grabbing onto each other. Aloysia gripped Hollis's arm as it closed around her middle. When she looked back at the rooftop, she saw that Otari's claws hadn't left a mark in the golden surface. Eckert tried a third time. As he brought Otari down towards the surface, the cat dragon let out a jet of turquoise flame that could have melted platinum. Aloysia felt the heat of it through her boots. The rooftop didn't so much as steam. Otari flapped over to where Lingui was hovering, drawing up alongside her. "Lan, can you get it off?" Eckert shouted, making a gesture like removing the lid from a jar. Sheikah said something to her that the others didn't hear. "The roof?" Lan shouted back. "I barely know how to shore up the buildings in town. I definitely don't know how to break them apart. Not unless you want them blasted into a million pieces." "How is it still standing, let alone this well?" Sheikah yelled, throwing out her arms. "Isn't it enchanted? And on the outskirts? Shouldn't the magic have worn off by now?" "Its only purpose is to serve the Guardian in this specific circumstance, no?" Eckert yelled back. "What good would an enchanted building have been?" He was right, of course, but that didn't mean Sheikah's question had no merit. The spire was at least 1,000 years old. It should have been in ruins. There must be something else keeping it standing. "It's the vine," Aloysia bawled, describing a rising spiral in the air with one hand. She could see the same picturesque vine she'd observed during their last encounter with the spire twined around it now. It had to be the same one. Vines didn't just die off and regrow in a matter of weeks. But something was wrong. Its stem was the same letters green. It was still as thick as Hollis's arm. She could see a handful of the broad, purple-faced, 9-pointed leaves just below them. The signature of the Ania Creeper. But it was the start of winter. Tangleroot had already had its first frost. She had overheard Carlyle complaining to Ivy that it had made a client late for an appointment. The Ania Creeper was deciduous. "Take us lower," Aloysia screamed in Eckert's ear. As they dropped, her eyes tipped over the place she had dislodged the stones from when they were here last time. There was no hole. How was that possible? Lower still, they stopped abruptly, and Aloysia saw that Eckert had the good sense to connect the dots between her vine comment and her request. She was at eye level with several leaves about halfway down. Atari sighed on to the tower. She slid her pack around to her front and threw Hollis a look over her shoulder. I'm going to need you to hold on to this. I'm going to need you to hold on to me, she said. And without waiting for him to respond beyond his mouth falling open, she sat up on her knees and swung her body out dangerously in the direction of the vine. As one flapping wing caught the tower, Atari swayed and veered diagonally, bringing her suddenly closer to the creeper. Behind her, Hollis cursed loudly before grabbing her by the hips to steady her just as one of her hands thudded into the stonework. The other held a small terracotta pot of Camellia tangelia out towards the vine. Slowly, gently, until one of the flower's dark pink petals arrayed around the center as if folded there by origami, brushed against one of the creeper's outstretched leaves. The vine's leaf visibly shivered. Then it threw back, swaying from side to side in what Aloysia recognized from Pip as a motion of consideration. A flicker of doubt crossed her mind, but she batted it aside and held her ground. If this vine was what she thought it was, she knew most of its individually sentient leaves would be too vain to resist. Camellia tangelia was the rarest flower in the country, and among the rarest in the world. All at once, the leaf jerked, flattened out in front of her, thrumming like a plucked violin, and she watched as each point of its leaf variously stretched or curled or folded like it was replaced by a dark pink blossom or a jagged, rounded green leaf. A perfect replica of the flower Aloysia had presented to it. A wavering winder, Aloysia squealed so excitedly that the central bloom flared its petal at her in annoyance. They're supposed to be extinct. I always knew there was a chance they were still out there. They can change themselves to look like any other plant in the magical botanical world. But it would be hard to spot. But if you know what you're looking for... Wick, Hollis said, urgently, and she could tell by the panic in his voice that he wasn't understanding her. You should be looking for them. He yanked her by the hips back onto Antari, jerking his head in the direction of the lower coils of the vine, where Aloysia saw something at once fascinating and terrible. Several of the leaves near the ground were twisted and contorting into something narrower, darker. Even the base of the stem was shape-shifting into a rough, cracked bark. As the lycanthropes trooped towards it, they stopped, one by one, led by their parent, and reared onto their hind legs, before rubbing their backs industriously against the bark. As they did so, the lichen itself spasmed outwards. Aloysia saw fingers of it strike at the biggest lycanthrope's eyes and mouth as in self-defense. But when the lycanthropes dropped back onto all four paws, the lichen drooped, as if lifeless. Pillow bark, she muttered, provides temporary relief from the effects of lichen poisoning, seemingly by soporific means. She quoted for some long-forgotten reference book. The lycanthropes and the vine. They're in a symbiotic relationship? Like the grubs and the stonecaps? But what's the vine get in return? The stench of off meat reached her on the wind, but she didn't need the smell to answer her question. The lycanthropes had let out a ragged howl before forming a straggly line in front of the vine and the door. Protection, she breathed. She had seen it in cotton blossoms that were being ravaged by wayward caterpillars. They sent out a pungent chemical signal to call parasitic wasps to their aid. But not wolves. She watched as behind the beasts, the vine put out a spread of narrow stems that lengthened and entwined until they had sealed the door from view. The purple flowerheads that sprang up among the nest of spines were unmistakable. Thistle. "You'll have to do better than that," Aloysia said out loud, just as one of the narrow dark brown things that had been forming along the length of the vine projected suddenly sideways from the nearest coil, and Atari jerked away just in time to avoid being speared between the ribs by a 2-foot thorn. "What do we do?" Sheikah shouted just from above them, her voice deadened by the wind. Hollis's hands closed steadyingly over Aloysia's upper arms, and she heard his voice from behind her. "You're up, Gardener." Tomatoes pelted down like blood rain from the backs of the two cat dragons as they circled lower. After their last experience with the lycanthropes, Aloysia had made sure she had brought every one of them from the greenhouse. The first couple of handfuls hit their targets, hissing and burning. The lycanthropes barked, leapt, and tossed their heads in response. Some of the brighter and nimbler ones caught on quick, dodging the barrage, which splattered ineffectually into the ground. The tomatoes had brought Lingui and Atari some time to stoke their initial fires and bring streams of smoke billowing from their nostrils. The wind picked up and seemed to be on their side, sending white ripples in the lycanthropes' direction, so they yelped and backed towards the tower, which wasn't where they wanted them. "We have to go to the door," Aloysia shouted to the others. "We've got to force them away." The cat dragons made one wide loop to line themselves up, and then circled lower and tighter until they were scarcely above the head height of the lycanthropes, who leapt and snapped as they passed. The riders at the back of each had already swung their legs round so they sat backwards on the beasts. And now they reached out in front of them, grabbed a handful of tail on each side, and lunged forward, yanking the cat dragon's tails in the same motion Aloysia had used on Littlewig the last time they were here. The cat dragons plunged forth, riders clinging on for dear life, Aloysia twisting to put a hand through Hollis's tool belt. And then they were among the lycanthropes. The cat dragons so close to the spire that they had to tuck their wings into their bodies and rely on momentum as they passed over them, huffing plumes of smoke from their snouts. Most of their lycan may have been temporarily incapacitated, but the lycanthropes had long learned to fear smoke. They yelped and wheezed and darted away from the cloud as it rolled over them. A short way behind her, Aloysia saw Sheikah whoop and throw an arm into the air, making a twirling motion that meant "again," before turning in her seat, seeing the nauseous look on Lan's face, and throwing her arms around her shoulders to yank her back onto Lingui's haunches. "One more?" Aloysia shouted to the men on her cat dragon, who looked past her at each other questioningly and nodded. And then the rain came. Aloysia caught a look of an immediately bedraggled Sheikah and knew they were both wishing they were still wearing their water wear. The rain washed away the wolf peaches. It enlivened the lichens on the backs of the lycanthropes, reached and writhed afresh. It drove the smoke from the beast's head height to the ground above their paws. Worst of all, it was torrential enough that it was making Lingui yowl and hiss and even rock. Alucia was looking into Sheikah's eyes when Sheikah slid off Lingui, grasping for fur that was slick with water as she shrieked and disappeared behind the familiar's body. Lan made a grab for her, overreached and disappeared too. Alucia screamed. Sheikah reappeared first, free falling past Lingui's stomach a split second later after she fell, and Otari made for her, but not quick enough. She plummeted directly onto the body of one of the lycanthropes, taking it down with her into the smoke. Almost as quickly, Lan dropped back into view, bouncing absurdly on the end of the wrist's leash. She twisted and swayed in the air, her eyes wide with shock as she dangled from her cat dragon. As quickly as it come, the rain shower stopped. There was a thump from behind Aloysia, and she twisted in her seat to see Hollis on the ground. They had dived so low in their attempt to catch Sheikah that they had barely had to jump. Aloysia followed suit, tumbling as she landed, off the speed of the cat dragon. She glanced up to see Eckert snatch Lan from the wrist leash, and as the clasp gave way and hoist her onto Otari before starting what Aloysia knew would be a circle back to deal with Lingui. Aloysia caught up with Hollis, looking sideways at him as she yelled into her pack. Hollis brought his hands up from his tool belt, a metal vial in each. The look he threw her said, "Together." There was a sharp smell of white vinegar as Hollis popped the lids on both vials and tossed them in the direction of the lycanthrope Sheikah was wrestling with. He threw her a smile. "That's right. I know things." She shouldered her pack, threw her arm out at full stretch, and sprayed a plant mister indiscriminately in the direction of other lycanthropes. The scent that came wafting from it was the same. 1 part white vinegar, 1 part water. She used it to clean the greenhouse. It was also good for getting rid of lichen. The adolescent lycanthropes took 1 blast of the vinegar solution before before they howled and backed away, snapping furiously. Aloysia put 2 hands on the mister now, steadying it and moving it up and down their line threateningly, keeping them at bay while Hollis separated the other lycanthrope from Sheikah. It wasn't an easy task. He was wearing dragon-hide gloves that protected his hands from the poison-tipped lichen, but the same couldn't be said for Sheikah, who had passed out. The lichen's reaching fingers clung to her cheeks, ears, and forehead. Several had sneaked into her hair. Where the lichen had made contact, a purple-black rash flared. Her veins came up peculiarly bright, tracking along her brown skin like some uncanny rail map. As she had landed, though, she had knocked the wind out of the lycanthrope whose head was swaying dizzily, its eyelids drooping in a way Aloysia had seen once before. It was regaining its senses. Another lycanthrope's paw smacked heavily into Aloysia's face, bringing dull claws with it that scratched her cheek. She was knocked aside, the plant mister falling from her hand. The lycanthrope turned and dropped a paw onto the body of the mister, almost lazily, and was crushed, the solution spurting out away from it into the grass. The 6 adolescents stepped over the puddle and advanced on Aloysia, who was scrambling backwards in the direction of Hollis and Sheikah. Hollis was startled when Aloysia backed into him as he sat up, Sheikah lolling in his arms. Without a word, the pair leapt up and made for the door to the tower. Behind them, the lycanthropes took up the chase. Another paw reached out and swiped at Aloysia, making her stumble. Behind her, Hollis was felled too. He threw out his hands so as not to land on Sheikah as they tumbled to the ground. Aloysia whipped round on the spot, ran back to them, and was toppled by the dripping body of a cat dragon. A rain-soaked Lingui had dropped to the ground between Aloysia and the lycanthropes, followed by Otari. As the cat dragons and their flyers thundered past, Aloysia shouted to Lan, "Sheikah's poisoned! We have to get her inside!" Lan's head spun in the direction of her shout as Otari blasted the lycanthropes with fresh smoke. The look on her face was one of abject terror. Then she straightened up, her jaw set. Lan gestured her instructions into Lingui's back and threw herself down off her cat dragon. Aloysia grabbed her by the hand, and the two of them bolted toward the wall of thistles. As Lingui joined Eckert and Otari, advancing on the wheezing and reeling lycanthropes and puffing out still more smoke, Lan said to Aloysia fiercely, "I meant what I said about a million pieces." "Just the door then," Aloysia said, hastening further ahead of her. Aloysia barely broke her step before she cut off the first thistle with a pair of pruning snips from her tool belt, exposing the wood beneath. The thistle in her hand crumbled to ash that drained through her fingers. The entire vine shuddered. The tower shuddered with it. A shower of stones, each the size and weight of a brick, fell down around Aloysia and Lan. Lan took a chunk of one of the top of an arm as it ricocheted off the ground. It only made her angrier. She pointed her wand at the misshapen oval of visible wood, whipped a spell in the air, and the door imploded, taking a handful of the surrounding stones with it. Shocked, the thistle relinquished its grip on the tower, but it still hung in their path. Aloysia held the sleeve of her coat in front of her face and simply shoved through it, dragging Lan with her. As they passed through the doorway, it began to bow, dropping more stones down onto them. Lan whipped another spell and the collapse was halted for now. Hollis struggled in behind them, lugging Sheikah with him. In the near distance, the lycanthropes were gaining in something that was either confidence or sheer stubborn outrage. As Aloysia looked back through the doorless arch, she saw them leaping and pouncing through the smoke at Eckert, Otari, and Lingui. "Come on!" Aloysia shouted to them as Hollis laid Sheikah on the flat tower floor. Lan knelt down beside her. "Go on without us," Eckert bellowed over his shoulder. "We will hold them off." "I've got a plan," Aloysia yelled back, setting her pack on the floor next to her and pulling a neat rectangular rose bush out of it. "And you're ruining it!" The thistle made an attempt at recovering the door, and Aloysia leapt forward and swung at it with the pruning snips. It was a move to bludgeon, not to lacerate. She couldn't cut another piece off if she could help it, in part because she already felt as though she had chopped off the wavering winder's ear. Her stomach lurched, but mostly because the flakes of stone still falling from her hair made a convincing case that if she damaged the vine any further, it would shake the tower apart. Eckert barreled through the doorway, followed by the flash of Otari. Behind them, Lingui had caught on to the new plan and was diving in their direction, closely pursued by the lycanthropes, who now numbered 7. The fastest one leapt onto her tail, howling, and Lingui let out a roar. thrashing her tail from side to side in an attempt to shake off her attacker as she closed the gap between herself and the doorway. But it was clinging on too tight. Aloysia tossed Hollis the pruning snips and rolled aside, leaving the doorway wide. Lingui streaked through it, and Hollis lapped onto her tail, haphazardly cutting the lycanthrope free of her fur by the lichen. He and Eckert manhandled the beast back through the arch with gloved hands before diving back into the tower themselves. The second the doorway was clear, Aloysia slammed down her rosebush in front of it, ripped open what was left of the brown paper parcel in her lap, and shoved a handful of come-along compost into the soil. The baying pack of lycanthropes growing larger by the second, their glowing eyes fixed on her, Aloysia watched as the rosebush extended to fill the space. A crackling, stretching sound accompanying as it doubled, tripled, quadrupled in size and kept on growing until there was nowhere left to go. Sprouting new buds that unfurled into new roses, and more importantly, new branches that were spiked with new thorns. Or, Aloysia thought to herself with some satisfaction as she had sat panting and staring at the rosebush, more accurately, prickles. There was a scattered succession of thumbs that shook rose petals onto Aloysia's white boots and coincided with the series of yelps, howls, and whimpers that quickly faded as the lycanthropes retreated. "You finally found a use for the compost," came Hollis's breathless, teasing voice from behind her as she packed the last couple of fistfuls away and wiped her hands on her skirt, trying not to think about the possibility of needing it later. The rosebush cracked to a halt, shutting out the last vestige of light. "Courtesy of my sister," Hollis said through the darkness, and he must have opened his pack because as Aloysia turned to look at him, his face glowed from below as if a campfire, one of the orbs that had lit the sky at harvest night, floated past. Several more followed until Hollis's bag sagged empty and the central column of the spire was filled with soft orange lights that twirled as they rose, before stopping and hanging in the air a convenient distance apart. An elegant enchantment. The furthest one glimmered and brightened, illuminating a trapdoor at the highest reach of the spire, to an attic. "That's where we need to be." "Divine," Eckert said, emerging from the shadows to Aloysia's ride, behind Hollis, his arms folded protectively. "Why didn't you?" "Why didn't you?" Aloysia's breath caught in her throat. Everything had happened so fast, she hadn't had time to think through what she had suspected above the rooftop, let alone share it. And now it was too late. "Everyone, come closer, quickly." "Oh, everyone, come closer, quickly," she said, ignoring Eckert as she leapt up and beckoned them deeper into the room, urgently but without raising her voice. Eckert moved past her and helped a recalcitrant Lan to move Sheikah. "I've got a theory," Aloysia said when they were close enough to hear her at a whisper. "Which is?" Lan grumbled, matching her volume, as overhead the last few orbs glimmered and brightened. Aloysia's eyes widened as she looked around them and saw the horrible proof for herself. "It's in the walls." And that's the end of chapter 27. They're in the walls, guys. They're in the walls. I didn't expect that to come in. Fucking, it's in the walls. But that was a really nice chapter. It's interesting to see how they've actually managed to get into the tower now, because Jesus fucking Christ, that was definitely not easy for them, huh? But I'm curious how this is all gonna end out. So we have like 4, like how is this gonna end in 4 chapters, guys? What? We'll see, we'll see. Four freaking chapters left, guys. One second. All right. Chapter 28. It wasn't just in the walls. It had broken through. Following the same spiral pattern Aloysia had observed of the vine on the outside of the tower, myriad leaves, flower heads, thorns, and branches loomed out of the darkness inside. Where she would have expected to see mortar, Aloysia glimpsed something else. Seeping from the cavities between the stones and catching the light, flashing amber as it dripped. Sap. If the leaves out in the sunlight were vain, then the ones in here were bitter. Resigned to a life in the clammy dark, feeding presumably on what they could draw from the greenery outside, they had taken on twisted, eerie forms. Gray cacti strewn with long, wide hairs littered the floor like hirsute stalagmites. Whiskery black blooms with petals like bat wings dangled ominously above their heads. Delicate, ghostly, translucent snowdrops turned their flowers slowly to peer at the newcomers, with a sound like the creaking of a coffin lid. Perhaps in some way, the vine had been thrown by the damage to the thistle, or stunned or blinded by the lights because it didn't strike immediately. Aloysia and her friends had a long, slow breath in which to turn on the spot and absorb the full horror of the gauntlet they were about to run. Or rather, fly. Lan had already loaded Sheikah awkwardly onto the back of Lingui, who, at Lan's behest, tried to take off. Sheikah slid and dropped a few feet. The cat dragon made it off the ground before a huge tendril covered in tiny, sticky hairs snatched out of the shadows and wrapped around Lingui's body, drawing her in. At the end of the tendril, which had protruded like a tongue, Aloysia saw Lan and Lingui's destination, an enormous, speckled pitcher plant. Ah, Aloysia thought darkly. The leaves outside don't share so well. It's a Glugjug, she yelled, already on her feet and running. We have to stop it before it eats them both. Always fun to hear, Lan commented dryly. So you're saying, burn it? She asked. raising her hands to have Lingui set at a light. Hi, Sharky. I hope you enjoy your food. No, Aloysia and Hollis cried. Start a fire in here. We'll all burn to death if we don't suffocate first. Aloysia shouted, reaching Lingui and yanking her by the tail. She smoked the pitcher, which, if it noticed, didn't react beyond continuing its exorbitant tow. I was thinking more of the, if the vine dies, it drops a building on our heads, Aloysia said to Hollis, grabbing hold of one of Lingui's hind legs and heaving on it. But I like your idea too. Same problem if I cut bits off it, I suppose? He asked, grabbing the other leg and jerking his head in the direction of his ceremonial sword in its scabbard at his hip. Afraid so, she said, straining her heels against the stone floor and throwing a look of consternation over her shoulder as she added, Eckert, what's the point in having a friend who's built like a coo shed if you're not here when we need to drag things? But then her gaze snagged on the wizard, and she saw that he had his own problems. 20 or so feet off the ground on the back of Atari, Sheikah slung over his shoulder, Eckert was staring, slack-jawed, at a plant protruding from the wall. It looked to Aloysia like toxic white baneberry, except that where it would usually have fitted in the palm of her hand, the plant was roughly the dimensions of Eckert himself. A red stalk with multiple offshoots, each ending in a white berry with rounded black tip. It was easy to see how the plant had earned its common name, but beyond its immense size, the main giveaway that this was something else that had berries that had all turned to peer at Eckert and Otari, and were rippling with waves of shifting, color-changing light. A false doll's eye. There was a growl, and a streak with red lights in it shot out of the shadows, scrambling against Aloysia's shoulder before bounding off again, landing springingly on the pitcher plant's tendril tongue, where it kicked and gnawed and scratched like a cat dragon. Littlewick? Aloysia whipped her head round instinctively to squint in the direction from whence the blur had come, to make sense of him being here. She replayed her most recent moments with him. The library. He must have stowed away as she and Hollis had left. Littlewick, stop! She cried as the pitcher plant whipped its tendril around Lingui's middle, all the better to focus on the smaller, easier prey. Let go! Lingui had been thrown backwards, knocking Lan sideways as the larger cat dragon bumped unceremoniously to the ground and skidded to a halt. Aloysia and Hollis were half landed on by the cat dragon's haunches, but Aloysia shoved her off and made a scramble for Littlewick, just in time to see him swallowed whole by the pitcher plant. She froze, agape for half a second. She already knew she would level the whole mountain before she had let Littlewick die. The pitcher plant gave a jerk, and another, and another. Its pointed, oval lid sprang open, spewing groundwater, along with Littlewick, who landed swiping and hissing and springing, his soaking fur standing on end, making him look like an enraged hand muff. Of course, Aloysia thought, more gleefully than she imagined anyone had ever thought of these words. Blood drugs drowned their victims. The underworld had no fury like a cat dragon swamped. Behind Littlewick, Aloysia watched as the pitcher plant coughed, twitched, and attempted to reshape itself into something else. As it did, the section of wall around it cracked and crumbled, but the shape this particular head of the vine chose, a sturdy, overgrown hedge of hornbeam, blocked the gap entirely instead of letting it fall. Littlewix scampered towards her, yowling and spitting indignantly, and for a moment, she could imagine he was miraculously well again before he stumbled, slumped sideways, and lay still. Aloysia dropped to her crouch, her legs trembling beneath her, and scooped her precious cat dragon into her arms. Littlewix's eyes flickered open, and he made a sound like before snuggling into her chest and falling into a fitful sleep. That was almost one-to-one what was said in the book, Lily. Also, thank you for the 200 bits. How was the rest of your stream, Lily? How was the Archon quest? I'm sure you're super tired now, though, after this long stream. Yeah, let me show you. Like, how's a long quest? Yeah, like, right there. Oh, I'm blocking it with my fingers. Right there. It was a long quest, but it was a good quest, that's for sure. How did you like the ending of it? Before her eyes, his colors faded again. The white stripe now reached from his nose to his tail, reminiscent of a skunk's. I couldn't stop her, Hollis was suddenly yelling, before Aloysia heard his boots skid behind her. Is he asked, his voice gravelly. Impossibly, she realized this man loved her cat dragon as much as she did. He's alive, she said, her own voice cracking, and she moved to place him gently back onto her pack, as odd as it felt. I know he's gone, but the Tory, I feel like will be mentioned still, like how we're moving forward. I would assume so. Like his influence is still gonna be felt throughout Teyvat, and especially in the Fatui and everything as well. Hollis put a hand on her wrist. You sure it's safe in there? Well, it's safer than out here, she said, and he took her point. Her eyes blurred as Littlewix dwindled into the depths. She shouldered her pack more carefully than usual and stood up. You said something about her? Aloysia said to Hollis, grasping for his words like a half-remembered nightmare. He blinked in surprise. Yes, right. And motioned to the false doll's eye, where Lingui and Lan had now joined Otari and Eckert, flapping ponderously, slack-jawed and staring at the rippling light. Sheikah was draped across Lingui in front of Lan, and Aloysia thought she could take a guess at why she'd gone after Eckert. No cat dragons left to fly us up there, Aloysia said. Any ideas? Hollis's eyebrows lifted, and he blinked at her for a second before, to her surprise, nodding to a staircase that Aloysia now saw line the walls, roughly following the path of the vine. It was barely visible under the jungle of snapping, hissing, snatching plant life. Also, Lily, you've missed one chapter so far. Like, I did chapter 27 just now, so you missed one chapter. We might be finishing it today, actually.
Milady, he said with an affected propriety and a shallow bow, and they both stepped over a creeper that had been snaking towards their ankles. May I escort you to uncertain death? Uncertain death, she said with an unsteady smile as she allowed him to lead her toward the staircase, dodging several poison-tipped spines that were fired towards them on the way. Well, he said, putting out a hand and catching a lump of wall before it plummeted into her scalp. Nothing's set in stone. Oh, wait, she cried, squeezing her eyes shut as they stepped onto the bottom stair and were sprayed by a defensive chemical that smelled like lemon juice. She twisted aside. It's honestly a cool book, good vibe. I love it. I'm loving this book. And we're probably gonna be finishing this today. We might be doing some Deadest Disco afterwards, because I don't really know what to play afterwards, so might as well just, you know, chill a little bit with Deadest Disco. Play a couple of songs. Who knows? She twisted aside and reached down to her magical botanical tool belt from which she withdrew the circumspex. You're going to need these, she said, smiling and sliding them onto his nose. What are you going to do? He asked, removing them and trying to pass them onto her head. As they stepped onto a leaf the size of a paving slab, which conveyed them smoothly upwards in the direction of a huge many-armed plant speckled with half-digested insects, she took something else from her tool belt. A small metal vial, not dissimilar to the ones Hollis had tossed at the lycanthropes. Cracked it open with her teeth and swallowed the contents, which tasted like peppermint, coffee, and, fortunately, a hint of aloe vera. She shuddered. I'm going in after them. But that was the last of it, she said, cutting him off and waving the empty vial. Sorry. He frowned at her and reluctantly slid the circumspex back onto his nose. She nudged him with her hip just as they came within striking distance of the tentacular plant, and he stepped smartly to the left, bringing them both onto a dark, slender branch that undulated strangely in the direction of their target. They had to hold out their arms and step intermittently for balance. That false doll's eye is one of the most dangerous magical botanical plants in the valley, Aloysia said, gesturing at the plant to which Eckert, Lan, and the cat dragons were beholden, but shading her eyes as they came near. Its bioluminescence captivates you. Then, while you're distracted, its fungal symbiote puts out filaments designed to digest you, piece by piece. So I need you to be careful. And you don't? This is my area, she interrupted. I know what I'm doing. I can't do this on my own, she added meaningfully. I do need to be the one to do it. They both hopped down from the branch onto another stair, just a couple of steps down from the false doll's eye. Alicia kept her back to it. The spell you drank. It's to protect you? He said, his face pinched. She could see the trepidation there, even with the circumspex. She was unwinding something from her tool belt and clipping it to his. It'll let me keep my wits about me, he said with a stoic nod. Now that she was close to the false doll's eye, the seriousness of what she was about to do was settling in. I'll go in and get them. You get me out. You know I have no idea what that means, he said, with his half smile, going for lightness but coming up delirious. 3 tugs from me, she said, demonstrating with the thin rope she had clipped to his belt, which ran from a spool on her own. And you pull like your life depends on it. I'm scared of Pantalone becoming pullable. We'll see. It would be cool. He's an interesting character. No, this is too much, he said, shaking his head and his sword in the direction of the false doll's eye as Aloysia took a step back. Can't I just cut it down? Of course, he said sarcastically, and she jerked her head at Lan and Eckert. If you want to separate them from their minds. Oh, I know you. I feel like you would. I felt like you would like him, Lily. I knew you would. I know you. His free hand stilled. His chest rose and fell shallowly, and he nodded. Usual. He was determined to trust her. Her heart filled her chest. She slid her pack off and handed it to him, while he was hoisting it onto his free shoulder. The other was now occupied, she noticed, by his shield alone. She turned to ascend the last couple of stairs, pulling out her wand as she went. Just as her hand emerged from her pocket, she felt Hollis's rest on it. We've got this, he said firmly. You got this. As soon as Aloysia looked into one of the eyes of the false doll's eye, she felt her whole body slacken, as if she had fallen asleep standing up. Almost as quickly, she lost all feeling, all awareness of her autonomy, but for the questions that nudged dully at the edges of her mind. Did I fall? Did I land? Am I hurt? Are there tiny filaments reaching for me right now, curling over my boots and winding around my calves? The questions made her taste peppermint, apparently the one sense she could still make full contact with, and she felt oddly grounded by it. She knew it was the spell, an old spell first designed for clearing persistent headaches, working hard to tether her to reality. Because what she was seeing couldn't be real. She was standing on the surface of a lake at the height of a springtide day. The sky was blue and bright, a few clouds, mere smudges and streaks across it, and reflected perfectly in the water. When the unreal Aloysia moved, her footsteps left ripples. There was no sound of splashing beneath her feet. No fish flicked past, and no weeds of water lily stalks swayed. The bottom of the lake wasn't visible to her either. Just the mirror image, the sunlit sky, plunging upwards and downwards forever, as if she might fall out of the other side of the world. She heard muffled noises and knew that they belonged to the vision she now found herself in. The spell was modulating them in its efforts to let her know that the sounds weren't coming from her earthly senses. There were voices. Lan's voice, calling out in a language Aloysia hadn't heard her use before. Eckert's, with the unfamiliar intonation of a joke, and the dialect she recognized from the late hours with him, when the hot chocolate was beginning to wear off. Lan and Eckert were standing together in the near distance, the cat dragons asleep on the bank beside them. They were partially submerged in the water. Eckert up to his middle and Lan up to her knees. But they weren't talking to each other. Instead, they were interacting with people right in front of them, though there was no one there. Aloysia reached for her friends and even struck out in their direction. But as soon as she did, the lakeside shimmered in front of her, as if walled off behind a sudden heat haze, and she heard a sound she couldn't ignore. Littlewick. His happy growl faded in and out, and she knew the spell was fighting hard against the false doll's eye. The taste of peppermint was milder as Aloysia's cat dragon gamboled on into view, chasing a benefly. As he leapt into the air, paw outstretched to bed it, Aloysia called out, "Stop!" And he turned those lamplight eyes on her, or lowering his paw, tucking in his wings, and dropping gracefully to the ground. Except that it wasn't the ground, was it? It was the surface of a lake. Aloysia thought of him in Stromoten. Water flicked from a glass by Lan. It hit him at the bottom of the tower, hissing and spitting as he was regurgitated from a pitcher plant. Littlewick doesn't like water. Aloysia held on to that thought, even as the taste of peppermint dwindled, even when all she could remember of it was the cool freshness on her tongue. She tried to wrench her mind away from the illusory cat dragon and back to her friends. She had to cross this lake, take them by the hands and bring them back where they'd come from, wherever that was. Feeling strained, bewildered, she pushed forward and came to the edge of the heat haze. Just as she should have stepped through it, expecting to feel a curtain of muggy warmth pass over her, the wall leapt further around her, ahead of her, and Littlewick appeared again. This time, it was bigger, a little older. The Littlewick she had welcomed home in the Corn Exchange's kitchens, with the tufts of a mane beginning to show, chasing his own tail in a circle before attacking it. Littlewick doesn't like water, she told herself again, closing her eyes as she pushed forward, but finding to her torment that it made no difference. Where usually it would have been the blackness, after image behind her eyelids, the vision remained. She couldn't shut it out. But Lan and Eckert were getting closer, the one saving grace of her spell losing its grip. What spell was that again? Was that she could hear their voices more clearly? They were getting louder. "We've got this," said a voice in her head that wasn't her own. Or was it? Who am I again? What am I doing here? What is this place? That voice again. And now she knew it was different to the one that was so concerned with her identity. "You've got this." She didn't know why she was moving forward, only that she had to. She trudged into the heat haze, and this time, it didn't jump ahead. She felt nothing, no warmth, no moisture, and when she stepped through, she saw two people nearby, a man and a woman in the water. The woman was submerged up to her middle, the man to his neck. Instinctively, she veered towards them, not knowing who they were or what she would do when she got there. She only knew she must get there. Before she could, there was a golden table obstructing her. She didn't see it appear or see anyone who might have put it there. It had simply begun existing in her path. It was an elaborate golden table with a slippery shine, perfectly unblemished, and set with jewels in a line around the rectangular plinth that formed the base. On top of it was an animal, something between a cat and a dragon, she thought. Cat-eared and cat-faced with white fur, yet it had dragon wings and a forked tongue flickered at its mouth. The animal looked unwell. It lay still and her heart went out to it. The feeling was so strong that she fell to her knees. The water rippled where she fell, didn't envelop her. As she stared down at the surface on which she was crouched, a thought occurred. Somebody doesn't like this. She couldn't make sense of it, or of what she saw when she looked up. The creature on the table was levitating, and something was crackling soundlessly around it. Something pink, green, and purple, like electrified threads, or tiny, fine lightning bolts. As soon as it rose into the air, the creature unfurled from its sleeping position, its lower half dropping down, as if being held up by its forelegs by unseen hands. And then its eyes opened, glowing red. A new feeling, powerful, much more powerful than the last, something she couldn't name, pulled her up to standing again, as if someone had yanked her by the scruff of her neck. It was a good feeling. Littlewick doesn't like water. Aloysia blinked furiously before pushing forward again. As she did so, the image of Littlewick on the golden table flickered and winked out. Behind where it had been, she saw Lan and Eckert. Lan now immersed up to her neck, the lake water lapping against Eckert's nose and mouth. She wasn't sure how, but seeing them there, she knew she just had seconds to get them out. That once the lake had consumed them, the false doll's eye could begin. But how? The surface of the lake might as well have been glass or ice to her. She was standing on it, not sinking beneath. What would happen if she plunged her arms into it to find their hands? Was it unbreakable, so her limbs would thud against it and be bruised or broken? Would it shatter and risk cutting her skin? Or would it yield and let her glide through it as easily as slipping into a warm bath? Aloysia thought of the splashes. She thought of the heat haze. She thought of falling to her knees and landing but feeling no contact. She couldn't put it together well enough to call it an idea or a theory, but it was an instinct. Aloysia acted on it. There was silence, an expanse of whiteness for the length of a thought, and then every one of Aloysia's senses came rushing back at once. She snatched at her arms, expecting to find them aching or bleeding or at the very least wet. But they were unhurt, whole, still wrapped in the comforting texture of her white coat. She had been right. When she had plunged her arms into the water, nothing in there could hurt her. It was what was out here that she needed to worry about. She toppled backwards and landed heavily on something warm and firm, yet soft. It moved underneath her and she felt a broad hand close around her middle. Opening her eyes, which swam, taking in the few colors around her, as if the world had been washed out, everything looked as it did the few times she had woken from a nap in bright sunshine. She found that she had landed against Hollis's back, next to Littlewick's pack. There was a clang that made her head pound, as if it had been struck like a gong. Hollis had slammed his shield onto one of the bat-like flowers, dazing it. Holding her against him with one with his one free hand. He twisted on the spot and did the same again to a giant seed pod that thrashed out of the shadows. They went on like this, moving in a kind of brutal dance, and Aloysia skidded on something unseen and looked down at the detritus of the battle he'd been single-handedly fighting. He had had to resist every head of the vine within reach of the 4 other people and their cat dragons on his own, and the stairhead was littered with the ash and stones to prove it. How long was I out? Aloysia shouted hoarsely. She felt him sag briefly before regaining his composure in time to hack at a funnel-shaped flower that tried to consume them both from above. Glad to see you too, he shouted without turning to look at her. And she drew on all her remaining strength to take her own weight and his baton from his belt. 5 minutes, he bawled in to answer her question, dodging a razor-sharp leaf that she had to duck under. The movement made her head pound again. I thought you were going to pull on the rope, he added, as he struck out with the shield again to deflect several stones that cascaded down from above. Aloysia had no time to reply. She parried a whip from a stealthy shoot from the baton just before it could sweep Lan right off the stairhead. Her fellow witch was on all fours beside Aloysia, groaning blearily and tearing at the white filaments that had snaked around her arms. Eckert pushed himself up from where he had been lying, rubbed his chin achingly, and picked up Sheikah as easily as if she was a sack of laundry. He cut as imposing a figure as ever, but his eyes drooped groggily, his movements sluggish. He put Aloysia in mind of a troll. All right, she shouted. That's enough of us now. No more hacking and slashing. She stepped smartly aside as a jagged chunk of a wall the size of her head whistled past, before smashing on the floor below. All of this is meaningless if we don't make it to the tower room. She gestured to the ceiling hatch with the baton, and as she did so, everyone stared up to the mass of writhing, spraying, snapping plants. Lan fell onto all fours again. Fine, said Aloysia, trying to keep her tone optimistic as she unleashed a soporific mist from her tool belt on a sneaking bud, which opened, closed, and drifted dreamily to the floor. I'll fly. Eckert refused to let anyone else fly Otari. He heaved his hulking frame onto the cat dragon. Sheikah slumped in front of him, despite Lan's protestations. Aloysia shot Hollis a look. He might need backup. And he nodded his understanding. Sliced the rope that bound him to Aloysia with a sword and mounted Otari too. Aloysia helped Lan to struggle aboard Lingui before feeding the woozy familiar the same thing she had palmed to Hollis for Otari, who had self slumped back down on the side. She wouldn't usually have advised it, since the effects of the herb in its raw form could be potent, unpredictable at best. But not only did the future of the valley and the lives of every person here depend on it, Lingui and Otari's own lives did too. Hollis barely had time to scramble aboard Otari before the cat dragon's head jerked up at the taste of the dragon nip, and he began to bounce on all 4 paws on the stairhead, causing a crashing and crackling as the ancient stone fractured beneath them. Lingui gave a sharp intake of breath, and then twisted, immediately vertical. The platform fell away from Aloysia as the cat dragon soared like a bird, turning joyful twirls as she rose, which sent the glowing orbs lighting the room spinning and battered the oncoming plants with their half-curved wings. She didn't even seem to notice what she was doing. They were gaining height breathtakingly fast. Both Lan and Aloysia were dizzy with the twirling and the speed of it, but also with a certain giddiness. They were closing in on the attic door. Aloysia barely saw any part of the great vine when she did, it was little more than myriad streaks of color, which was why she didn't see the Tempus Cassatia in time to stop it. The first she knew of its existence was when her breath slowed, her muscles became heavy, and the blink that took so long she thought she could be losing consciousness brought her eye to a widening eye with millions of tiny, perfectly round blue specks, hanging, glinting in the air around her like the surprisingly beautiful product of a botanical sneeze. Spores. The Tempus Cassatia. A gray, hooded flower that Aloysia now saw looming behind the twinkling specks was known to respond to motion, projecting a wave of blue spores that slowed time for passing creatures. This, it quickly followed with a second wave of spores, bright orange this time, that were intended to enter their bodies. Once inside, rather than use the animal to disperse them to somewhere dark and damp, they simply attached themselves to the dark, damp place at hand and germinated. But the fact that Otari hadn't collided with them from below, Aloysia surmised that the spores had made it to the others too, as they must have to every flower and creeper within reach, since for the first time in what felt like hours, nothing was firing or slashing or grabbing at her. She had to stop the Cassatia before it fired a second wave. Painfully slowly, wading through time like it was true lake water, Aloysia took the breath that had filled her lungs just before the flower struck and blew it towards the oncoming spores. And then she reached out, her muscles seeming to seize as if she was turning to stone as she used them, and awkwardly, like a rusty flautist, she played a slow rhythm on the plant's hair-covered stem. The plant jerked, made a sound like a gasp through fabric, and sucked several hundreds of its own spores back in. As time restarted, it also scrambled to catch up with itself, to cram everything that should have happened in the intervening moment into a few seconds as possible. And the momentum fired them. Aloysia, Lan, Lingui, Eckert, Sheikah, Hollis, and Otari through the attic door with such force that Lingui ricocheted off the inside of the golden roof and slammed into the wooden floor. It took Aloysia rolling onto her side behind the cat dragon a hazy moment to understand why both floor and door hadn't smashed open on their heads. And when her eyes fell on Lan, sprawled and choking a little way from her, wand tight in her outstretched hand, she must have blasted the door open in a split second. Hollis was already hunched over the rectangular opening where the door has been, shattered circumspects dangling from one ear, wrenching the door back into place and securing it with a sword hooked through the curved handle. As he did, he trapped the forks of a leaf in the gap. The vine gave a shriek, and the tower below then shuddered threateningly. "Where is it?" Eckert's voice said, hoarsely, and Aloysia heaved herself to a sitting position and tried to focus on him. He was propped up against Otari, who was licking his bare arm dotingly. Sheikah was cradled in his lap. Where's what?" Aloysia asked, as Lan staggered onto her line of sight, before dropping to her bottom next to Sheikah. "The new guardian," said Eckert, staring around him mistily. "Isn't it supposed to be here?" And that's the end of chapter 28. That was intense. But also, I gotta say, the way they described that, like, weird mind place thing that Aloysia was in was so fucking cool. I really liked it. That was really good. Okay, we have like, oh wow, we have like 40 pages left, guys. The question now is, we have 3 chapters, 29, 30, and 31 left. Should we end it here, or should we finish the book today? Because, like, this could be enough for another reading stream if we end it here now. But also, like, what do you want to do next week? Well, we can finish the book next week. Like, this is what we have left this here, which is like 40 pages. We're at 379 and it ends at like 415 or something. So we could finish this next week. And then start with Gallant the week after. But I'm like, what do I do for the rest of today? Don't really have much to do in Genshin. Shows your Duran team. I could do a little bit of Genshin in a bit. I'm gonna do a bit of Deadest Disco and then we do a bit of Genshin. Maybe we could do a story quest in Genshin. We could do like Emily's story quest. Like, I could do that. But I want to do a little bit of Deadest Disco first today, actually. I'm really liking the game and I want to do some funny things with it. I have another song that I want to add in a moment as well that I've already downloaded or, you know, may have set up ready for it. So yeah, we're gonna be doing a little bit of Deadest Disco then, I guess. We're gonna be done with the book for today, and then we're gonna hop on a little bit of Genshin afterwards as well. So let me just set up everything for Deadest Disco. We do this, we do that, we close this, and then we go. Wait, I need to adjust a few more things real quick. Give me a second. Yo, what's up, Ben? How's it going? Hello. I gotta go to my creator dashboard. Oh, wait, I can also just do it here. Okay. So we're gonna be doing a little bit of Deadest Disco. You see your Persona 6 teaser? I did see that. I watched it on stream earlier. It was interesting. Some late night Sunday gaming stuff. Okay. Yeah, the trailer looked really interesting. Like the little teaser. Like I saw a post on Twitter that was showing like all of the things that like all of the stuff that was shown during the Xbox game showcase today, and I saw like, oh, Persona 4 Revival, Persona 6, like what? Like, damn, okay.
a new Spyro thing as well. I haven't really looked much into that, but there's something new Spyro that was announced as well. So hell yeah, Spyro. Yeah, there was like I forgot what it was called. Like new wiki. Oh, you can now wishlist it. I have it. I think I have it on a wish list already. Not sure. Yeah, let me check again, Lily, real quick. There was some Spyro stuff they've shown as well. Xbox, because today was Xbox Game Showcase with RE Code Veronica. Let's fucking go. Showcase Spyro. Oh yeah, Spyro A Realm Beyond. Okay. Wait. Okay. One second. All three showcases were so good. I didn't watch any of them. I just saw some of the announcements later down the line. Oops. Let me just quickly do this. Here, we get rid of these, this.